I want you to listen closely, because this is the kind of truth that can transform your life. There is a sacred principle at work in all relationships. Love is not just a feeling, it's action, it's presence, it's consistency. And when someone avoids you, repeatedly withdraws, or refuses to meet you where you are, that is a signal from the universe. That is a divine nudge saying, do not waste your heart where it will not be honored. Too often, we chase love like it's a trophy, like it's something to be earned through patience, excuses, or compromise. But the truth is, love shows itself in the details. Love shows itself in the commitment to presence, in the willingness to be vulnerable, in the courage to invest not just in themselves, but in you. And when that isn't there, when they run from connection, retreat from intimacy, or refuse to engage emotionally, you are not being unloved because you are unworthy. You are simply being given clarity. Understand this, there is power in recognizing patterns. There is freedom in seeing the truth without distortion. If someone avoids, evades, or prioritizes themselves at the expense of your heart, it is not your fault. It is the reflection of their readiness, or lack thereof. And you, my friend, were not born to be half-loved, to settle for fragments of devotion, to wait for someone to become whole enough to hold you. You were born to be fully cherished, fully celebrated, fully loved. This is where your strength ignites. Stop negotiating with absence. Stop rationalizing their avoidance. Step into the sacred knowing that love is abundant, and your heart is not a toy to be sidestepped or ignored. When you align with this truth, you no longer chase, you attract, you no longer question, you simply live in the clarity of your own worth, and the universe will conspire to bring love that mirrors your courage, your integrity, and your depth. So, I challenge you today. Recognize the signs, honor your heart, and step boldly into relationships where love is reciprocal. Do not fear being alone, because in solitude your power grows. Do not cling to avoidance, because in releasing it your soul is free. Your destiny is not to love someone who runs from you. It is to claim a love that runs toward you, fiercely, fully, divinely. You are not too much, you are not too sensitive, and you are certainly not unworthy. You are a force of life, a beacon of love. And the moment you stop tolerating absence, you step into the extraordinary life you were always meant to live. Consistent emotional distance is one of the clearest and most telling signs that an avoidant person does not love you in the way that your heart longs to be loved. When someone consistently keeps their emotions behind a wall, it creates a dynamic that is subtly painful, confusing, and disempowering. Emotional distance is not just about moments of silence or temporary space. It is about a pervasive pattern in which connection, vulnerability, and intimacy are consistently avoided. It is the repeated signal that, while their physical presence might exist, their heart is not fully engaged in the relationship. This creates a sense of longing in the other person, a pull toward connection that goes unreciprocated, which can erode self-esteem and breed doubt over time. People who are emotionally avoidant often do not share their feelings, thoughts, or fears in a meaningful way. They may smile, laugh, and appear affectionate on the surface, but when it comes to revealing the deeper layers of themselves, their hopes, insecurities, or struggles, they retreat. This emotional withholding is not situational, it is habitual. Even during moments that call for shared vulnerability, such as celebrating a triumph, facing a setback, or processing conflict, the avoidant person maintains a subtle distance. They may offer surface-level responses or redirect conversations to neutral topics rather than engaging with the depth of emotion that fosters intimacy. Over time, this creates a pattern where one partner gives, reaches, and invests emotionally, while the other remains guarded, creating an imbalance that is nearly impossible to reconcile without fundamental change. Consistent emotional distance also manifests in the inability to be fully present during interactions. Even when physically close, the avoidant person may seem mentally or emotionally elsewhere. They might check their phone during conversations, avoid eye contact during moments of vulnerability, or dismiss emotional cues as if they were insignificant. These behaviors send a powerful subconscious message. Your emotions are not my priority, and your need for connection is optional to me. This erodes trust, because love is not just demonstrated through words. It is shown through the willingness to meet someone where they are emotionally, to witness and honor their inner world. Without that, intimacy becomes a one-sided effort where one person constantly reaches toward connection and the other systematically steps back. Another critical aspect of emotional distance is the avoidance of difficult conversations or conflict resolution. A person who truly loves you will lean into discomfort when necessary, because love is as much about being present in challenging moments as it is about sharing joy. Avoidants, however, often withdraw at the first hint of emotional intensity. They may shut down, become defensive, or physically remove themselves from situations that require vulnerability. This repeated avoidance is not an isolated reaction. It is a behavioral pattern that communicates where their emotional commitment truly lies. When someone consistently avoids discussing feelings, problems, or shared future plans, it reveals that their engagement in the relationship is conditional, selective, or self-protective rather than rooted in genuine love. Even small daily interactions can reveal emotional distance. A partner who rarely expresses curiosity about your inner world, does not remember meaningful details about your life, or offers minimal reassurance during stressful times is demonstrating a lack of emotional presence. Love is an active force. It requires engagement, attentiveness, and a willingness to navigate life together, even when it is uncomfortable. When those elements are persistently absent, it is a clear indication that the avoidant individual prioritizes emotional self-preservation over the relational bond. Ultimately, consistent emotional distance is not about occasional unavailability or needing space. It is a sustained pattern that defines the relationship. It creates a dynamic in which love is fragmented, leaving the partner longing for something that will not be fully given. Recognizing this pattern is essential because it allows clarity. It is a signal that the love you are seeking cannot be sourced from someone who consistently keeps their heart at arm's length. It calls for discernment, self-respect, and the courage to seek relationships where emotional presence is mutual, intentional, and unwavering. A lack of investment in a relationship is one of the clearest indicators that an avoidant person does not truly love you. Love is not just a feeling or a fleeting attraction. Love is a commitment, a willingness to actively participate in building a life with another person. When someone consistently avoids investing in the relationship, whether emotionally, mentally, or practically, it speaks volumes about their priorities and the depth of their attachment. Investment is the heartbeat of love. It manifests in effort, planning, sacrifice, and a conscious desire to nurture the bond. When that heartbeat is missing or irregular, it is not a temporary lapse. It is a sign of emotional disengagement. People who are avoidant often show minimal interest in long-term planning or shared experiences. They may avoid conversations about the future, decline opportunities to solidify the relationship, or resist making commitments that would tie them closer to their partner. They may be comfortable in casual, low-risk interactions. Yet when the conversation shifts to shared goals, milestones, or life plans, they withdraw. This avoidance is not just an inconvenience. It is a subtle but powerful signal that they are unwilling to allocate their time, energy, or vision toward the relationship in a meaningful way. Love requires co-creation, building something together. And when one partner consistently refuses to participate, it leaves the other feeling unseen, unvalued, and ultimately unsupported. Investment also shows up in the way someone allocates their energy. A person who loves you will show up, not only physically but mentally and emotionally. They will remember important dates, actively contribute to problem solving, celebrate your successes, and share in your struggles. Avoidance, however, often displays selective presence. They may engage when it is convenient, fun, or low risk, but when the relationship demands time, attention, or emotional labor, they retreat. This inconsistent participation communicates a lack of genuine commitment. It signals that their love is conditional, dependent on their comfort rather than the needs of the partnership. Over time, this imbalance fosters frustration, disappointment, and emotional exhaustion for the partner who continuously invests while receiving little in return. Another critical aspect of a lack of investment is the avoidance of vulnerability in actions, not just words. Love is an active process. It is demonstrated through deliberate choices, sacrifices, and consistency. Someone who does not invest will avoid taking actions that require them to step out of their comfort zone for the sake of the relationship. They may resist meeting your family, participating in shared responsibilities, or supporting you through challenging times. They may offer words of affection but fail to back them with tangible actions. True investment requires alignment between words and behavior. Without it, Love becomes performative and hollow, leaving the partner craving authenticity and depth. Financial, social, and emotional investments are all intertwined. Avoidant individuals may avoid merging lives in any meaningful way. They may resist joint decision-making, planning trips, or building a shared future. Even small gestures, such as making time for quality interactions, prioritizing important events, or contributing to the partnership's growth, may be neglected. Each omission, when repeated, compounds into a clear pattern. Love is not present in the ways that matter most. Investment is a reflection of value. When it is absent, it reflects the avoidant individual's inability or unwillingness to fully value the relationship and the person at its center. Recognizing a lack of investment requires both awareness and honesty. It is tempting to rationalize absence or interpret minimal effort as love, but true love is active, consistent, and intentional. Avoidance may give the appearance of affection, yet their reluctance to fully invest exposes the truth beneath the surface. Understanding this pattern allows the partner to see clearly where their energy is being spent and whether it is being reciprocated. It is not about assigning blame. It is about acknowledging the reality that a relationship cannot thrive when one person is perpetually withholding effort, commitment, and presence. Ultimately, lack of investment is not a temporary failing. It is a reflection of the avoidance relationship capacity. It signals that the depth, consistency, and mutual effort necessary for real love are absent. Recognizing this empowers individuals to make choices aligned with self-respect, clarity, and the pursuit of partnerships where love is demonstrated through action, dedication, and unwavering investment. Disinterest and vulnerability is one of the most revealing markers that an avoidant person does not truly love you in the depth and fullness your heart desires. Vulnerability is the sacred bridge between two souls. It is the willingness to expose your authentic self, to share fears, dreams, and insecurities, and to allow another person into the unguarded spaces of your heart. When someone consistently resists vulnerability, it is not just a temporary discomfort. They are sending a clear signal that they are unwilling to emotionally engage in a way that cultivates true intimacy. Love is not merely an exchange of pleasure or companionship. It is a co-creation of trust and openness. Without vulnerability, there is no true love, only the illusion of closeness. Avoidant individuals often show disinterest in vulnerability by evading emotionally charged topics. They may divert conversations when feelings arise, offer surface-level reassurances rather than deep dialogue, or withdraw entirely when emotional intensity increases. This pattern is not coincidental. It is a consistent strategy to protect themselves from emotional exposure. While it might appear as independence or self-sufficiency, the underlying dynamic is one of avoidance, a reluctance to engage in the mutual exchange of heart and soul that is fundamental to love. The partner who desires connection is left navigating a one-sided relationship where their courage to be open meets silence, redirection, or subtle dismissal. This disinterest in vulnerability often extends to discomfort with intimacy itself. True vulnerability requires risk, the risk of judgment, rejection, or the pain of being truly known. Avoidance, however, may shy away from this risk, preferring to keep emotional walls intact. They may express affection in controlled, predictable ways, but resist moments that require authenticity or emotional exposure. Celebrations, challenges, or moments of shared struggle can become tests of patience for the partner as they seek depth while the avoidant partner maintains an invisible barrier. Over time, this consistent refusal to engage vulnerably can erode trust, creating a sense of distance and disillusionment in the relationship. The consequences of a lack of vulnerability extend beyond emotional connection. They impact the very foundation of trust and mutual understanding. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the conduit through which love, empathy, and genuine partnership flourish. When one partner consistently refuses to reveal their inner life, it leaves the other feeling unseen, misunderstood, and emotionally unsupported. Conversations remain shallow, problems unresolved, and dreams unshared. The relationship becomes a mirror reflecting one person's courage against another's withdrawal, a dynamic that cannot sustain the depth, richness, and resilience that true love demands. Disinterest in vulnerability also manifests in the avoidance of accountability and emotional growth. Vulnerability requires self-reflection, the ability to admit mistakes, and the willingness to navigate discomfort for the sake of connection. Avoidance often resists this process, preferring to deflect responsibility or maintain a facade of composure rather than risk exposure. This pattern communicates that their emotional presence is conditional, self-protective, and ultimately limited. Love, however, is expansive. It requires a willingness to enter discomfort, to meet challenges with openness, and to reveal the unpolished human parts of oneself. Without this, the relationship remains static, and true intimacy is impossible. Recognizing disinterest and vulnerability is essential for understanding the reality of the relationship. It is easy to rationalize avoidance as personal independence, emotional complexity, or a temporary phase, but when vulnerability is consistently blocked, it is a fundamental incompatibility in the capacity to give and receive love. This recognition allows clarity, freeing the partner to release the hope that someone unwilling to engage deeply will suddenly open their heart. It empowers one to seek connections where emotional exposure is welcomed, where authenticity is reciprocated, and where love is expressed not just in words or fleeting gestures, but in the willingness to truly show up, fully and courageously, in the shared space of the heart. Frequent avoidance of conflict is one of the most revealing and challenging signs that an avoidant person does not truly love you in a way that fosters growth, connection, and lasting intimacy. Conflict is not the enemy of love. In fact, it is one of its most powerful catalysts. True love is not measured by the absence of disagreements, but by the willingness to face challenges together, to navigate discomfort, and to grow through the friction of differing perspectives. When someone consistently avoids conflict, it is not merely a preference for peace. It is a refusal to engage emotionally in the ways that demonstrate commitment, respect, and genuine care. Avoidance of conflict becomes a pattern that communicates a subtle yet profound message. Your feelings, your needs, and your voice are not a priority. An avoidant individual often retreats at the first hint of tension. When a disagreement arises, they may shut down, withdraw, or redirect the conversation to neutral ground. They may use silence, defensiveness, or physical distance to escape engagement rather than addressing the underlying issue. This behavior is not occasional, it is habitual. Over time, it creates a dynamic where one partner bears the emotional labor of addressing problems, mediating misunderstandings, and seeking resolution, while the avoidant partner sidesteps responsibility. The imbalance sends a quiet but unmistakable signal. The relationship is secondary to their comfort, and emotional closeness is negotiable rather than essential. The avoidance of conflict also reflects a deeper discomfort with vulnerability. True conflict resolution requires honesty, self-reflection, and a willingness to admit mistakes. It demands that both partners face uncomfortable emotions, anger, hurt, fear, disappointment, and process them together in a way that strengthens the bond. Avoidants, however, resist this process. They may fear confrontation, worry about perceived criticism, or feel threatened by emotional intensity. In doing so, they protect themselves, but at the expense of the relationship. The partner who seeks resolution experiences frustration, isolation, and emotional fatigue because the absence of engagement prevents mutual understanding and growth. Conflict avoidance also stifles intimacy and connection. Every unresolved disagreement, every suppressed emotion, becomes an invisible wedge that drives partners further apart. The relationship remains on the surface, comfortable, predictable, but lacking the depth that comes from shared problem-solving and emotional resilience. Love, in its highest expression, is forged in the fire of challenges faced together. When one partner consistently avoids that fire, it is a sign that their emotional investment is limited and that they are not willing to do the work necessary to sustain a deeply connected, evolving partnership. Even seemingly small conflicts reveal the pattern. It may be a minor disagreement about plans, household responsibilities, or communication styles. The avoidant partner may ignore, deflect, or minimize the issue rather than engage. Each instance reinforces a cycle where emotional needs are sidelined and mutual growth is deferred. Over time, this pattern not only diminishes trust but also erodes the sense of safety and partnership that is essential for love to thrive. The consistent message is clear. Confrontation is to be feared, discomfort is to be avoided, and the emotional investment required to navigate challenges is beyond their capacity or willingness. Recognizing frequent conflict avoidance is critical for understanding the true nature of the relationship. It is easy to misinterpret withdrawal as patience, independence, or a desire for peace. But when avoidance is consistent, it is a structural pattern, not a temporary coping mechanism. This pattern exposes the limits of the avoidant's emotional availability, their unwillingness to prioritize the needs of the relationship, and their resistance to mutual growth. It allows the partner to see clearly that love is not simply about affection, presence, or shared experiences. It is about the willingness to engage fully, even when it is uncomfortable, and to honor one another through challenges. Understanding this dynamic provides clarity and power. It allows you to discern where your energy is being reciprocated and where it is being blocked. Frequent avoidance of conflict is not a small flaw. It is a profound signal that the love you are seeking is not present in the ways that matter most. It calls for courage, discernment, and the willingness to seek relationships where challenges are met with honesty, respect, and a shared commitment to growth, rather than avoidance and withdrawal. Inconsistent communication is one of the most telling and painful signs that an avoidant person does not truly love you in the way your heart longs to be loved. Communication is not just the exchange of words. It is the lifeblood of connection, the bridge between two hearts. It is through consistent, honest, and engaged communication that trust is built, intimacy is nurtured, and love is expressed. When communication is irregular, unpredictable, or superficial, it creates a vacuum in the relationship that leaves one partner constantly questioning, anxious, and uncertain. The absence of steady communication is not simply a quirk or a habit. It is a reflection of priorities, emotional availability, and willingness to invest in the bond. Avoidant individuals often communicate only on their terms, in ways that feel convenient, surface level, or emotionally safe. They may respond sporadically to messages, offer minimal effort in conversation, or disappear for days without explanation. Even when they do communicate, their words may lack depth or emotional resonance. Over time, this erratic pattern becomes a subtle but powerful signal that the relationship is not a priority. It conveys an unspoken message. Your thoughts, feelings, and needs are secondary, and emotional connection is optional rather than essential. For the partner seeking love, this inconsistency creates a sense of instability, forcing them to navigate a cycle of hope, doubt, and disappointment. The problem is compounded because communication is a reflection of presence. When someone truly loves and values you, they make the effort to be present, to engage meaningfully, and to maintain a sense of connection even across distance or challenging circumstances. Avoidants, however, often withdraw precisely when presence is most needed. During stressful times, moments of vulnerability, or periods requiring support, their communication may diminish or vanish entirely. This withdrawal is not accidental. It is a protective mechanism designed to avoid emotional intensity, yet it comes at a cost. The partner is left feeling isolated, unheard, and emotionally unsupported, as though the bond exists only when convenient rather than consistently nurtured. Inconsistent communication also undermines trust. Trust is not built in grand gestures alone. It is reinforced through regular, reliable contact, through the predictability of presence and responsiveness. Avoidants, by contrast, communicate in ways that are unpredictable and conditional, creating uncertainty about their intentions, feelings, and commitment. Each delayed response, each missed call, each unacknowledged message chips away at the foundation of trust, leaving the partner constantly seeking reassurance. Over time, this creates emotional exhaustion, as one person carries the weight of connection while the other avoids accountability for maintaining it. Another critical aspect of inconsistent communication is its impact on intimacy. Emotional closeness cannot thrive when dialogue is sporadic or superficial. Relationships require the flow of thoughts, feelings, and experiences. When communication is inconsistent, the intimacy necessary for love to grow is stifled. Conversations remain transactional rather than transformational. Conflicts go unresolved. Shared joys and struggles lose their significance. Avoidance may claim independence or self-sufficiency, but the underlying truth is that by avoiding consistent communication, they are avoiding the emotional investment required to truly love and be loved. Recognizing inconsistent communication as a pattern rather than an isolated occurrence is essential for clarity. It is easy to rationalize irregular messaging as busyness, personality differences, or temporary stress, but when the pattern is repeated, it reveals the heart of the matter. This is not a person who prioritizes connection. Love is not passive. It demands engagement, effort, and reciprocity. When communication is inconsistent, the emotional imbalance becomes evident, signaling that the avoidant individual's commitment to the relationship is limited, conditional, or self-protective. Understanding this pattern empowers the partner to reclaim their clarity, self-respect, and energy. Inconsistent communication is not a reflection of your worth, it is a reflection of their inability to engage fully. Recognizing it allows you to step into relationships where communication is consistent, responsive, and reciprocal, where love is not expressed in sporadic bursts, but as a steady, sustaining presence that nurtures trust, intimacy, and genuine connection. Self-centered patterns are one of the most profound and revealing indicators that an avoidant person does not truly love you. Love is not merely a feeling, it is a practice. An active choice to prioritize the well-being, growth, and happiness of another person alongside your own. When someone consistently exhibits self-centered behavior, it communicates a lack of genuine regard for the relationship and a focus on their own comfort, desires, or needs over the partnership. In avoidant individuals, this self-centeredness is often subtle, woven into their patterns of decision-making, attention, and emotional responsiveness. Yet its impact is deeply felt by the partner who longs for connection, understanding, and reciprocity. People who are self-centered in avoidant ways tend to make choices primarily based on convenience rather than consideration. They prioritize their schedule, comfort, or interests over shared responsibilities or your needs. Important decisions, whether emotional, financial, or practical, often default to what serves them rather than what nurtures the relationship. This behavior communicates an underlying message. The relationship is secondary to their personal priorities. While love requires compromise, mutual effort, and shared vision, self-centered patterns systematically undermine those principles, leaving one partner shouldering the majority of emotional labor while the other focuses on self-preservation and avoidance. Self-centeredness also manifests in emotional responsiveness. Avoidance may respond minimally to your emotional needs, offering short, surface-level interactions when deeper engagement is required. They may struggle to empathize or provide support during difficult times, preferring to sidestep discomfort rather than sit with your feelings. This creates a dynamic where the partner consistently reaches out for emotional connection, while the avoidant individual prioritizes their own emotional safety. The relationship, in essence, becomes one-sided, a mirror reflecting the courage and vulnerability of one partner against the withdrawal and self-focus of the other. Another key aspect of self-centered patterns is the prioritization of personal freedom and independence at the expense of intimacy and partnership. Avoidants often frame their self-focus as self-care, independence, or autonomy, yet it frequently serves as a barrier to genuine connection. While independence is healthy in any relationship, true love requires balance. It honors both individuality and mutual responsibility. When an avoidant's self-centered tendencies dominate, the balance tips and the partner's needs, desires, and emotional presence are diminished in importance. Over time, this imbalance erodes trust, emotional safety, and the feeling of being valued within the relationship. Self-centeredness is also evident in how avoidants handle challenges. Rather than addressing conflicts collaboratively, they may deflect, minimize, or withdraw to protect themselves. Problems that require mutual effort to solve often become opportunities for them to prioritize their own comfort, leaving the partner feeling unheard, unsupported, and devalued. True love involves navigating difficulty together, leaning into discomfort, and seeking solutions that honor both individuals. When self-centered patterns dominate, these essential practices are neglected, revealing the avoidant's unwillingness to invest fully in the relational journey. Recognizing self-centered patterns requires clarity and honest reflection. It is tempting to rationalize these behaviors as quirks, personal habits, or temporary phases, yet repeated self-prioritization in the avoidant pattern is a fundamental signal. This is not a person willing or capable of giving love in the way you need. Love requires reciprocity, presence, and the conscious choice to put another's well-being alongside your own. Without this, the relationship cannot flourish. It becomes an uneven dynamic where one person's heart is fully open while the other remains guarded, self-focused, and emotionally distant. Understanding and naming self-centered patterns empowers you to reclaim your energy, self-worth, and clarity. It allows you to recognize that love is not about hoping for change or rationalizing avoidance. It is about aligning with people who are capable of genuine reciprocity. Self-centeredness is a reflection of the avoidant individual's limitations, not your value. By observing this pattern, you create the space to seek relationships where love is mutual, nurturing, and expansive. where both hearts are present, engaged, and willing to prioritize each other as the sacred act of love demands. Thank you for trusting me with your thoughts and time. Wishing you clarity, strength, and endless inspiration on your journey. Goodbye for now. May every step you take lead you closer to the love, growth, and fulfillment you deserve.